Welcome back again, everyone. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you haven't and you're just new to these videos, welcome. We always go through a new math lesson every single day. Today we are still in Unit 1. We're on Lesson 1-5. And make sure you're on page 21 in your Robot and Turtle book, which is your math workbook. Okay, so if you don't have it out or if you're not on the right page yet, do me a favor. Hit the space bar or pause the video if you're using an iPhone or a tablet. Make sure you pause the video on the screen. If you have a Chromebook or a laptop, hit the space bar, and that's the easiest way to pause the video whenever you need to. So make sure you pause it. Make sure you're on page 21. But if you're already on page 21, we're going to keep on rolling, guys, okay? So we are still working with subtraction, and they gave us a little story problem. We're going to deal with a different kind of subtraction problem today, though. So make sure you're paying very close attention, and I'm going to tell you and show you a really fun way for us to solve problems like this that might seem a little confusing at first, but once you know the little tricks, they are super easy. So don't get upset or worried. So I'm going to read the story problem, but when you hear something super important or special, like maybe a number or something like that, make sure you tell me to stop, okay? Or else I might just accidentally keep reading and I might miss something really important. Can you guys help me out with that? Can you tell me to stop whenever you hear something super special? Okay, so let's start reading. There are 5 red cars. Wait, did you tell me to stop? Did you hear something super special? I thought I did. Yeah, it's that number 5. We have 5 red cars, so we got to make sure we circle that. So make sure you're circling the important things along with me and that you're not just watching on the screen. We need to get into the habit of making sure that we catch on to finding special details in these story problems. All right, so let's keep on reading. So they have 5 red cars and 3 blue cars. Wait, did you just tell me to stop again? Did you hear something really special? What did you hear? The number 3. You know what? I thought I heard something special too. I'm happy you told me to stop. So we found the numbers 5 and 3 in our story problem. Let's see what they're going to ask us to do. There are, Are there more red cars or blue cars? So they want to know which one there are more of, the red cars or blue cars. And then they want to know how many more. Okay, so we have 2 big questions to sort out here. So let's find out what kind of problem we're working with so we can set up our number sentence. Okay, so if they want to know how many more are there of one, well, it sounds weird, but we're actually going to subtract. Okay, so let's set that up. Right at the bottom here, let's make our line for our number. I'm going to put a blank circle here for our sign, another space for a number, our equal sign. Remember, we cannot forget our equal sign. And then whatever our answer is going to be, that needs a space too. Okay? Now we did say that we are subtracting. Now we have 2 signs that we can pick from. We have this first one, which is like that cross shape. Or we have our second one, which is just a line going across. Now if we need to subtract, which sign are we picking? Go ahead, point on your screen which one we should use. Did you point to this one? If you did, give yourself a huge pat on the back. Give yourself a high five because that is the exact one that we need. So in our little number sentence here, we need to make sure we have our subtraction sign. Okay, and if we're subtracting, we need to know which number goes first. Now, we did talk about this a little bit last time. I'm really curious to see which friends remember. When we are subtracting, which number has to go first? Is it our big 5 or the little 3? Point to one of those numbers. Point to the one on the screen that you think has to go first. I really hope you're pointing to one of these numbers. Super important. Okay, so the first number has to be the big 5 because it is the biggest number that we have that we're working with. So when you subtract, the biggest number has to go first. We can't take 5 away from 3. That's just too crazy. If you only have 3 things and you have 5 friends to give, candy to, and you only have 3 pieces of candy, we can't do it, right? But if we have 5 pieces of candy and 3 friends, right, we can make sure all those friends get candy. So the big number has to go first. So if the big 5 goes first, where do you think this little 3 is going? Do you think it's going to go in this spot after the subtraction sign or after the equal sign? Point to the space on the screen where you believe that the 3 needs to go. Did you pick a spot? Okay, I sure hope you did. Okay, that small 3 needs to go right after the subtraction sign. So if you're not keeping up with this number sentence we're writing, make sure you pause the video right now and you start writing this subtraction sentence. It's really important that we know how to write a subtraction sentence. Super, super important, okay? So make sure that you have everything we have written here so far. Okay. And if we didn't know how to subtract these two numbers, that's okay. We're going to use quick pictures to help us out, but we're going to make a different kind of quick picture. Don't get nervous, okay? It's a really, really fun way to make a quick picture, and this is for when they ask you how many more of something there is, all right? So, if you have some crayons, go ahead and get your crayons. We're going to need 1 blue and 1 red. Now, if you don't have any crayons, it's okay. Don't worry. You can just use your pencil and make a quick picture with me. Okay, so I'm going to use red, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a quick picture for our 5 red cars. Okay, so remember, we're trying to make a picture to help us solve this problem. All right, so let's count and draw 5 squares for these cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I'm going to stop because I just needed 5 red cars and I have 5 right here. Now here is where it gets a little different. Now for these blue cars, we're going to draw them right underneath our red cars. Okay? So, and we're only going to draw 3 because they tell us in the story that we only have 3 blue cars. So let's go ahead and draw these 3 blue cars right underneath the red ones. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to stop right here because we drew 3. That's all we had, and that's it. So what we do here, now that I know it looks a little weird, but stick with me, stick with me. We're going to have these different colored boxes make friends. They're going to make friends with each other because maybe they're feeling kind of lonely. And of course, if you're friends with someone, you can hold hands. And of course, these shapes just love to hold hands. So every time we see a red box across from a blue box, we're going to have them hold hands. So these two are going to hold hands. These two are going to hold hands. And these two are going to hold hands. Now, do you see any red boxes that don't have a friend to hold hands with? I sure do. It's these two at the top. So since these 2 poor squares have no one to hold hands with, this is our answer. Okay, so for 5 minus 3, what is 5 minus 3? Well, it is 2. We had 2 boxes with no one to hold hands with across from them, so that is our answer. And let's also go back and try to answer this other question. So we know how many more red boxes there are, right? You can see that there are 2 more red boxes. And so if we make this into a subtraction sentence, 5 minus 3 equals 2. Okay? But they had a second question they want us to answer. They said, are there more red cars or blue cars? So point to the color cars that have more. Do we have more red or more blue? Point to the color that has more. Did you do it? Are you pointing to the red or the blue? Okay, now if you're pointing to these red boxes right here, awesome job. There are definitely more red cars than blue cars. And we see that because we have 2 more red sticking out with no one to hold hands with. Okay? Now, if you're a little confused still, don't worry. We're going to do some more practice problems together. So don't worry. Don't get upset. Don't get upset. You're fine. We're in this together. But let's go ahead and turn to page 22, and we'll do another practice one together. Alright, so here is what page 22 should look like. 22 at the bottom there, and at the top you're going to see some cubes showing us like another little practice problem that they did. I don't want to really go over this practice problem up top because to me the pictures are just too similar. It's a little easy to get mixed up. But we will practice number 1 down here with the green and yellow froggies. And I'm sorry if you hear some weird noises in the background. That is my brother's dog who is chewing on a bone. Okay, so let's go through number 1 together. I know for you guys, you can already see the numbers kind of like you have dotted numbers on the spaces. I erased them because I really think it's a better idea for us to work through it together instead of just knowing the answers. Okay, so let's read this together. We have 6 yellow frogs. 6 is pretty important. I'm going to circle that. And 3 green frogs. That's also important. I'm going to circle that. How many more yellow frogs are there? So first let's set up our subtraction sentence. We know we're subtracting when they're saying how many more are there, right? So what has to go first? Is it going to be our big number 6 or our little 3? It has to be that big number 6. Remember, the biggest number has to go first in a subtraction sentence. So if 6 goes first, where does the 3 go? Is it going to go in the second space, right after the subtraction sign, or is it going to be after the equal sign? Go ahead, point to which space it belongs. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're saying that the number 3 belongs in that second space, because this is what we're taking away. Alright, so we have our subtraction sentence set up. But now let's go ahead and try having our froggies hold friends. So I want you to try doing this part on your own. I want you to make sure that every green frog is holding hands with a yellow frog. And remember, if we had like squares, all you're doing is just drawing a line from one to the other. That's how we make them hold hands. Go ahead and make every green frog hold hands with the yellow frog. Okay, did you do it? Okay, if you need more time, pause the video and finish making the frogs hold hands. If you're all done, let's go ahead and do that now. And then it might look a little different than yours, and that's okay. As long as you have a line going from each green frog to a yellow frog, we're going to be a-okay. Alright, so now I made sure every green frog is holding hands with the yellow frog. All we do now is count how many yellow frogs are not holding hands. So I want you to count the yellow frogs not holding hands and then write it right here on the answer line. So I'm going to have you do that on your own. Go ahead and count how many yellow frogs are left and write down that number. All right, did you go ahead and do it? If you need more time, as always, hit that pause button. Let's go ahead and count them together. 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 yellow frogs left. So how many more yellow frogs are there? Well, it's going to be the same number. So whatever you just counted, that how many yellow frogs are not holding hands, that's how many more yellow there are. Okay? Let's go ahead over to page 23. I'm going to have you guys try a problem completely on your own, and then we'll go over it together. So let's go ahead and turn to page 23. Okay, here's what page 23 looks like. This is what you should be looking at right now. You have number 2 at the top, and we have some doggies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the story problem to you out loud, and then I want you to write the correct number sentence to solve it. Okay? And then, of course, you can use the picture up here to help you if you need to. So there are 3 brown dogs, and there is 1 black dog. How many more brown dogs than black dogs are there? So go ahead and write the number sentence the correct way right here, and make sure you use the correct sign. I'm going to put both up here. Now remember, working on subtraction, make sure you pick the correct sign to subtract. Okay, if you're still working on this, do me a favor, pause the video. And take your time, take as long as you need to solve this yourself. When you're all set, then hit the play button. Okay? For all my friends that are speedy mathematicians, we're going to go ahead and go over this together. Alright, let me switch the color ink here. Here we go. So first, to set up our number sentence, which number is going to go first? The 3 or the 1? It's going to be the 3. That's going to go first because it's our biggest number. 3 is bigger than 1, so it has to go first. And the sign we're going to use to subtract is always the minus sign. So we can write that, write that in the bubble. So we already used our 3. We have our minus sign. What number goes next? If you're not sure, look back at the 2 numbers we're working with. We are working with the number 3 and the number 1. We already used the number 3. I'm going to put a little check mark because we used it. What number did we not use? We did not use that number 1 yet. So we're going to put that on the next line. So now we have 3 minus 1. And we, of course, cannot forget our equal sign. The equal sign separates these numbers from our answer. We can never forget about that. Because if you forget your equal sign, they're going to think that you have some really, really strange number sense going on, and we don't want that to happen. So now that we have our number sentence set up, now we can have our friends holding hands in the picture to help us out. So every black dog is going to hold hands with a brown dog. Okay, they're holding hands. Now count the dogs that are not holding hands. Let's do it together. 1, 2. So we have 2 dogs that are not holding hands. So which colored dogs are there more of? Are there more brown or black dogs? there's more brown dogs. And we know this because there's 2 brown dogs that have no one to hold hands with. So we know that there's more brown, but how many more brown? 2. And we're just going to rewrite that answer down on this line here. So what I would like you to do next is try number 3 completely on your own. I'm not going to help you at all with this one, but I will be checking it afterwards. So while I'm reading, if you want to circle the important things, that is a-okay. Feel free to do that. 7 red beads, 4 green beads. How many more red beads than green beads are there? Make a number sentence and figure it out. Okay? And then if you want a challenge, you can try number 4. If it's too confusing, don't worry about it. This is for my friends that want a challenge. But that's it. If you guys are a little confused, please make sure you let me or your teacher know if you're in a different classroom. But if your teacher is teaching or if I am teaching, please make sure you're patient and raise your hand, and please don't interrupt. Okay, because that can kind of distract some other friends in the classroom, and we want to make sure that no friends get distracted and confused. All right, so I hope this was helpful, guys. If not, please make sure you just let your teacher what you might be confused about. But, I'll see you guys on here next time. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you later.